I think that's part of it in the sense of like you don't want to just go into say an appointment with a client, buyer or seller or whatnot, feeling nervous or anxious because you won't have that confidence. Therefore, they actually see that you don't have that confidence. So therefore, you're probably not going to get that business.
Welcome to the Sold Right Away podcast, where realtors stop playing small and start marketing like top producers. I'm Maud Léger, real estate marketing strategist and business owner obsessed with one thing: helping realtors build brands that attract listings, generate leads, and that actually convert. Every week, I sit down with top performing agents and industry leaders to break down what's really working in today's market. No fluff, no theory, just real conversations and strategies you can implement right away. If you're ready to stand out, scale intentionally, and win more business, you are in the right place. Let's get to work. Today, I've brought on Alex Hripko, realtor raised in the industry and surrounded by top producers long before she even got her license. Being a realtor truly runs in her veins. Alex shares how her success comes from an uncommon source: building powerful relationships with the realtor community, learning from the best, and surrounding herself with people who share the same values. She also opens up about the mindset shifts and priorities that have shaped her recent growth and what wealth truly means to her beyond just transactions and numbers. Let's get to my chat with Alex. Hi, Alex. Thanks for joining us on the episode today. Tell us a little bit about you and how did you arrive to real estate?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Well, my real estate career is a really interesting one where I actually started off working in a completely different field. And my parents actually have been in real estate for many, many years. My dad's been selling now, I think, for 41 or 42 years. And my mom's in the property management and the rental world for the past almost 30 years. So I was on a different path going to do whatever I wanted to do. And I call this like my TSN turning point, actually, where I was not necessarily happy at the job I was at and the career I was kind of going with. But, my dad and mom were always like, you know what, real estate can always be, the plan B or whatnot. So I kind of always had that in the back of my brain. And my dad being part of the Royal LePage Chairman's Club for since 1991. This is back in 2018. They went to Australia. So of course, he invited me. He said, "Why don't you come with us? Come have a trip, whatever." I said, "Great." So went on a trip to Australia and actually got to meet with the top 1% of Royal LePage. And that's, I call it my TSN turning point, because I got to spend time with some of the most experienced agents, so knowledgeable, and I was just a sponge. I remember sitting down with so many amazing agents, like Mark Ferris being one of them, and just like absorbing everything he said. And literally after that trip, I got my license, moved back to Calgary, and started my career.
Interesting. So being a sponge and absorbing as much as inspiration and knowledge as you could from those top realtors.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's always hard to explain it because, with my parents being in real estate for my entire life, essentially, I've always heard them have conversations with clients, had conversations with other agents, for example.
Mhm.
And even though I wasn't in the industry, you really just start absorbing it through osmosis. Like it's just there. You just happen to understand it. You learn it, you pick it up really quickly. And I think that's how I really got the hang of it once I transitioned into sales.
Yeah, I love it. What was the moment where you really thought, like, I'm gonna go all in and this is it for me. This is what I'm gonna do?
Well, I mean, I had an interesting kind of path coming into real estate too, where I actually decided to work with my mom in property management for about 2 years before switching into sales.
Okay.
I think the reason why we kind of picked that route is one, property management is so hard. People, it's everyone's always angry. It's not necessarily a an enjoyable career as time progresses because people aren't happy that you found they helped you or you helped them find a house or you sold their house. and you're not helping with these stages. They just want you as a tool to facilitate that transaction of finding a renter and so on.
Yeah.
So I kind of learned that I was kind of in the middle at that point, thinking, okay, like this is hard. I don't know if I can always have this negative energy around me. And then when I went into sales, I would say, I mean, I switched into sales in October 2019. And so that was really right before COVID happened, right? So my first transaction what in sales was in May 2020. So I would say it was probably the fall of that year that I had that kind of mindset that this is my career. I picked the right job, the right career. This is my passion now. Because before, when you're not making any money, you get a little bit frustrated. You're hustling, you're showing houses, you're doing everything you can, but you're not doing anything. And also paired with, the world kind of locking down, there was
Yeah.
really not much to do. Like you could do so many things on the back end, but you can't force someone to buy or sell a house. So that was a really interesting time for me.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. And now fast forward with 2026 and in 2025 you were a top producing realtor. So what made you so successful? What have you applied in your business from zero deal frustrated to top producing?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to coaching, where we do subscribe to a coaching program, and having a dedicated coach to essentially reel in my ideas. I can go a little bit wild sometimes and just say I want to do everything or have that shiny object syndrome. And I think a lot of us have that. So really just narrowing it down and really focusing on what my core business pillars are and really going all in on those. So I think that that is what helps me today, where, I've built these pillars, they're my core, and you really just help to nurture them as time progresses, right?
Mm,
Like one of my core pillars is agent referrals. About 40% of my business is agent referrals. So especially being so new in the business, it's kind of shocking in that regard. But I do focus on how can I interact with other agents and how can I be of value to them as well. And like what will make them think of me when they think of Calgary. And so I really do work that network and make sure that I am top of mind there so that I do have those incoming clients. But also paired with that, you obviously have to do a great job for that agent to get feedback from the client saying they're satisfied with me, they liked my negotiating skills, etc, because if they came back with bad feedback, they're not going to be referring me again. So it's also like there's so many different components to that. So I would just say ultimately it's coaching and really just focusing on those pillars and ensuring that I'm staying consistent with what's actually going to generate money.
yeah, I love it. 40% being realtor referrals. It's such a different perspective on real estate in terms of networking. How do you nurture those realtors from, I guess, across anywhere in Canada to refer to think of you when they think of Calgary?
Yeah, so we essentially created something called like an agent, um, like I guess relationship system is
Okay.
probably the best way to put it,
Yeah.
where we might think about agents and we just have people on our social media and we might just see them at conferences and just do whatever. Whereas I actually put the agents into my agent contacts into my CRM as well. And I do tag them specifically to know are they A agents or B agents. So A agents are agents who have sent me referrals or have put my name out there, and B agents are just other agents that I'm connected with, right? That maybe haven't sent that referral yet, but that's okay. They're still in my network. Now, I do send a quarterly email to all the agents in my database, essentially providing some value, something of value, right? So it could be, I mean, it varies every single quarter,
Yeah.
and it could be something as simple as, here's my listing presentation. We just revamped it. Here it is. Take it and run with it. Your choice.
Yeah.
Or it could just be me asking a question, just staying top of mind. People will kind of come back and help me out with the question or something I'm struggling with. So it's
Hmm.
kind of interesting to have that relationship there. It also just could be something as simple as here's what I'm doing for holiday drop offs this upcoming quarter. Just again, giving some ideas on how, what someone else could, take value from.
Yeah. Yeah. You're really giving to other realtors, which is completely opposite than most realtors' mentality, which they want to keep their listing presentation, they want to keep their marketing strategies to themselves. So
Mhm.
that's great value for sure.
Yeah, and I find that like in addition to all of that, it's also like I'm being present at as many conferences and events as possible. Now, since I've had my daughter, and as we mentioned before this podcast
Yes.
started, I do have almost a 2 year old daughter. So really, for the past 2 years, I haven't been as active and present as many conferences as I was previously, because
Mhm.
now I want to be home. I want to spend time with my family. But I do make an effort to go out to as many as I can, and I make the most of it. So I'm not just, going to the event and going back to my room. I am making sure that this is dedicated time to connect with other people, be face to face, have like solidify those friendships and just grow them.
Yeah, I love it. You're so right though. Oh, the priorities change a little bit. It gets like incorporated differently into your business.
Yeah, 100%. You
Yeah.
really like learn how to like allocate your time a little bit better.
Mhm.
And you also realize how unproductive you were before.
Yes, you're so true. I found the same thing. Busy,
It's so
running
strange.
around, trying to do it all, and then realizing nothing gets done.
Yeah, and I just don't know what I was doing with my time before I had my child. Like
So,
I don't know how I was not more productive, but here we
hey,
are.
hey, here you are. It's working. When you think about it, what's the one thing that you have implemented in your business that brought you success?
Um, well, I guess like it's not also just me on the team. So I did join my dad's team, of course, and then the team has restructured as times progressed, just with whether we decided to let go of agents or agents have left on their own. We've added new agents and so on and so forth. But I would say the consistent thing, or I guess the thing that has contributed to my success, I guess, over time is consistency. It's also getting face to face with clients. I think that is the one thing that we all kind of forget, and we get really used to being busy versus productive when we
Mm,
really have to kind of peel things back and realize that us as agents, our main priority is to have appointments with clients, and then how can we get them to the next step, right? We like social media is great. However, I think many people do waste a lot of time on social media
yeah.
because they think that, oh, this is the new way to get leads and get new business. But in reality, I think the way I look at social media is essentially it's a business card. It's another way for people to essentially see I am who I am, and like maybe a little bit about like what I like, etc. But I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be getting that many leads from people I don't know from there.
Yeah.
People might look at that, but kind of becoming, I guess, coming in from a different source and then kind of look there just to validate everything.
Mhm.
But I mean, we don't focus too much on social media in that regard because our focus is repeat and referral, agent referrals, and strategic alliances as well.
I love
Because I think that there's other pillars that will generate more income and you can have that better return on investment versus social media. We also like human nature, and also social media is like whole algorithm. The whole point is to get your attention away from what you're doing. They want your time. They want you to be sucked into it.
Yeah.
So, even if you go in there just to check a message, next thing you know, you're scrolling through your feed,
Yeah.
right?
You
Or,
brought
you know,
to
yeah, you just get sidetracked.
yeah.
So I do think that there's certain things just to be aware of with that, where we get sucked into so many different traps that the point is to get our attention away from the actual real hard work.
That you're supposed to be doing to grow your
Mhm.
business. Nice. I love it. What is a key strategy for you or process, I guess, or a strategy that allows you to get more out of real estate?
Um, I would say that's a great question.
Mhm.
I guess a key strategy, I think it just comes down to being confident in like who you are and what you're like, I guess what you're selling, which is yourself and your services.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's part of it in the sense of like you don't want to just go into, say, an appointment with a client, buyer, seller, or whatnot, feeling nervous or anxious because you won't have that confidence. Therefore, they actually see that you don't have that confidence. So therefore, you're probably not going to get that business.
Mm.
So really, when I was in the early ages or the early stages of my business, a lot of it was like the fake it till you make it mentality of like you go in, I'm going to crush this no matter what, and you just kind of go into it and you practice your spiel. Now again, kind of in addition to that is practice. I think that's a huge strategy that we all kind of forget to do
Yeah.
is practice with your scripting, practice your presentations, because the more you practice, the better you'll be. Again, if we look at like the top people in every field, regardless, not just real estate, but any field. Like let's look at like we just had the Olympics. Let's look at any of those Olympic athletes.
Mm-hmm.
They are professionals. They are excellent at what they do. However, they all have coaches and they all practice, right? So the practice, I don't like the saying of like practice makes perfect, but I think it's like there's a saying I saw. It's like practice makes perfection or something like that. I can't remember what it is. You'll have to look it up. But there's
Yeah, it's
something
like
like
performing.
it's
Yeah, bringing you to a top performance would be the practice to get to that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, the more you do it, like for example, like yesterday I had a listing presentation and one of their dogs just kept barking. And like I could have been super distracted and been like, oh crap, I don't know where I'm at. I need to now restart my presentation again. But because I know it so well, I've practiced and I continue to practice it. I just kept going. You know, we had to pause, but then we kept going and it wasn't a full distraction and it didn't take away from the presentation.
Love it. Yeah, yeah. Knowing you were prepared and you know your material so well that you're able to like conquer the barking dogs and the distractions.
Exactly.
I love it. Very cool. From what you can remember, did you ever have a mindset shift that changed everything for you, other than I guess your daughter? But
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's like continuous mindset shifts that happen throughout your life and through your career
Mhm.
where you have imposter syndrome at like certain points. Like I still have that sometimes when I walk into a room thinking, oh crap, like I'm not good enough to be here. But then you kind of have to realize I'm sure everyone feels that way too. So like there's all these different things. And like again, as you mentioned, like my daughter did change a little bit about how I spend my time.
Mhm.
I actually just finished reading a book called The Five Types of Wealth. Have you read that?
No, I have not.
So it's a really interesting book because the way that we all look at wealth, I guess, is your financial wealth, right? Whereas this book really breaks it down and says that there's actually five different types of wealth. You have your financial, you have physical, mental, social, and then oh my gosh, my brain is not working. Time is
Time. Okay, yeah,
well.
I love that.
Really, so it's really quite interesting because it does change your perspective and your mindset on how you should be allocating your time and everything um, with your life because everyone's version of wealth is different, right? Like not everyone wants to be the powerhouse that owns five different mega corporations, right? And
Mhm.
not everyone wants that. Some people just want to have a simple life. They want to have that time with their family. They want to contribute to society and they're happy. So I think it's important also to realize that everyone is different and everyone's like perfect world or perfect life is different. So like I guess like I would also say like right now I have a mindset shift after reading that book
Yeah.
because it really does make me think, how am I allocating my time? Am I spending my time doing the things I like? Am I spending my time with the people I want to spend my time with, like my family and my friends, etc.?
Mhm.
And also, am I in my work, in my job, like am I spending my time as well and my money wisely so that I am doing things that actually are beneficial to the company, or am I spending it poorly? Like essentially, am I spending my time doing the activities that I could be giving to my assistant?
Interesting. Where's your ROI and how you can benefit everybody on your team
Exactly.
using that mentality? I love it. Very cool.
And I think like everyone also has like a mode or a zone of genius too,
Yeah.
where like I might be really good at, thinking and getting the new ideas out there, but maybe execution might be something I'm not great at. So that having someone else on the team who's really good at executing and finishing off that project is going to be imperative to ensure that those ideas that I generate, for example, get completed and get put out there versus just, you know, getting lost in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. The shiny object, right? Starting a bunch of things and then never finishing anything
Mhm.
complete. I love it. Very cool. If
Yeah.
somebody was to shadow you for a week, what would surprise them about your work or the way you do things?
Oh, that's an interesting question because I actually don't know. I feel
Ah,
maybe I'm kind of in the middle of like two different generations in a way where like I'm technically a millennial,
Okay.
And so technically I am. But so I do love technology and I do love everything to be on my computer, on my phone, but I also love everything paper. Like paper is great. I love writing things down. I always have a notebook with me. Um, like when I read books, I'm reading the physical hard copy because I like to flip through the pages versus like a Kindle or like audiobook.
Okay.
So like that could be something that maybe surprises someone just about me in general. Now, with like how I work,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I should be probably a little bit more structured with things, but a lot of it I've had some recent change where like again it revolves around my daughter where she was we did have a nanny and then now she's in daycare. So with daycare, I'm actually able to have longer hours, but
Yes.
we've like kind of organized it with the family that I drop her off, my husband picks her up. So now I get a little bit more time in the evening because before with the nanny, I'd have to pick her up because my husband didn't get off work yet.
Yeah.
So like now it gives me a little bit more time in the afternoon, evening to get more stuff done and see clients because that's kind of the time that people are able to see properties or able to meet for a presentation, etc. So I would say that like my days are really not scheduled perfectly.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
they should be, but
that
um,
looks.
there's always a saying, and everyone says in mornings you should always do the hardest thing first, which I do agree. And then after that, you really always want to make sure you do your outbound calls first thing in the morning too,
Mhm.
paired with anything that is internal, and then client appointments in the afternoon. Now, sometimes clients can only meet at 11 a.m., and
Yeah.
that is fine for me. Like, I will make that 11 a.m. work and I'll shift everything. Like, everything's in my calendar that if it needs to get done, it's in there and it's going to get done that day. So I do know what my priorities are for the day so that those for sure will get done. But sometimes things have to get bumped to the next day, and that's okay.
Yeah, and that's okay. See, that's key is where you're like, I'm not gonna stress out about it. That's okay.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that was another maybe mindset shift as well, where I've learned that nothing in real estate is life or death. We we have time. Like of course you have timelines and like deadlines to work with,
Yeah.
but like nothing is so pressing that you can't get an hour or take an hour to get back to someone or get back to them the next day.
Yeah. True. 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 Excellent. Nice. And if we were to talk about marketing a little bit, you mentioned that you're not too much on social media. You don't do too much. But what is a marketing tactic or something that is working really, really well for you right now?
Yeah, so with our marketing, we actually are, I would say, probably different than many other agents because we don't do too much outbound marketing to people we don't know. A lot of
Okay.
our marketing budget goes towards people that we do know and kind of nurturing our existing database to have that repeat and referral, um, essentially relationship as time progresses. So really, our marketing budget is lower than like we're not doing billboards, we're not doing bus benches, flyers, or farming or anything like that. Majority is just like nurturing our database, and that might be in the form of events, might be in the form of gifts, things like that.
Okay. That works. Totally. Totally. Very cool. I guess if you were to think about one thing that you can do for 1 year, if you had to let go of all the shiny object, which one would you focus on?
Within the real estate world and within the career. Okay.
Yes.
Um, I think what I would end up doing is like if I could focus on one thing and be super consistent with it,
Hmm.
um, it would probably be a mix of two things where I would love to have the agents on our team become a little bit more I don't know how I'm just trying to figure out how I want to put this in the sense that like I just want to make sure that they feel more confident with everything where we can provide them more leads. So
Okay.
again, our team is a little bit different where our main like thing about the team is like we don't provide leads to the agents. The intention is they provide their own leads, they nurture, they work for it, and but they just essentially build their business under the team umbrella, and
Yeah.
we help support them. We pay for any like the marketing and whatnot as well there. So with that, um, I would love for that like us to be able to provide them some more leads as well, just to give them some more value in that regard. I do think we provide tons of value to our agents,
Yes.
but I think if I could spend a lot of like I guess, consistent time focusing on how to generate more leads for the team specifically, that's what I would want to spend more time on.
That's what you would do to help grow your team. Everybody would win.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice, nice. Which activities do you think every realtor should drop and stop doing?
Mm, I think I think we should all stop doing certain things. Um, it's that's a very loaded question. Um, things that every realtor should probably stop doing, I think, is just I think mm, I think it's really just like stop wasting time doing things that you shouldn't be doing,
Okay.
right? Like having an assistant or an administrator or someone to be doing those tasks that you can be focusing more on that one-on-one time with your client is
Hmm.
far more important than uploading a listing or, sending in the paperwork to your brokerage or doing that, like making up the brochure.
Yeah,
Like someone else can be doing that.
delegating. Strong.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. What is a quote or a mantra that keeps you going or that gets you energized in the morning?
That's a great question. I don't have a one quote necessarily, but I did have I guess like I kind of like go through quotes like on my phone, for example. Like I don't know if I can show you even like on like the apps, like you can kind of create like a widget. I
Yeah.
don't know if I can like go through it, but I essentially went on to Pinterest and I found my favorite like quotes. And
Okay.
then on the widget, it actually like rotates it every hour. So like I have a new quote that kind of comes up there all the time that I don't know, I look at very often and just kind of like, oh yes, nice. And it kind of adds more motivation throughout the day.
Yeah.
So like right now it says current vibe, working for the lifestyle I promised myself. So
Ooh. Cool. Yeah.
we'll see, like, I don't know what the next quote is, but it's just going to come up. It's going to be in the same realm. Um,
Hmm.
it was kind of like my way of doing like a vision board, but not having a vision board, but like having those quotes kind of there pop up throughout the day and it's always on your phone. So
Hmm. It keeps you inspired, right? When you're looking
mhm.
at it, gets you inspired. I love. Yeah, I do love quote. I'm a big fan too. I think I have some I look at every day. It just gets me going in the day. And
Yeah, absolutely. I
nice,
agree.
nice. What's the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I would say is to focus on your priorities and make sure that you are living the life that you want.
Mm, nice, nice, very
Yeah.
cool. Huh?
Essentially, like you don't want to be living the life that someone else kind of set out for you. Like focus on what you want. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That makes me think of that book you mentioned, the five different wealth, where you said everybody has their definition of wealth. For you, what is your definition of success? How will you know when you're fully there?
Sure. And I think that that is definitely something I'm working on right now, especially after reading the book. It's just
Mhm.
there's so many questions I'm kind of journaling about to figure out like what is my like perfect life,
Yeah.
because again a lot of us, not just in the real estate world but just in general, we have that mentality where there's never enough. Like you're always chasing something, and even when you get to that point, you're like, "What's the next? What's the
Right.
next step?" Or what? Like you can't be content with what you have. There's another book called The Gap and the Gain, and this kind
Yeah.
of goes over that as well. And it's a very good book that helped me to kind of appreciate the stage that I'm in right now and not always have to be focusing on what's next,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if we keep on focusing, we'll never actually be happy. We'll never be happy with our lives. So I guess the going back to your question with like how will I know with like when things are enough or when it's enough and when I'm content, I actually don't know yet. And I think that like I think I have to like actually sit down with my partner, with my like family, and like actually go through everything and say, what do we need, what will make our life happy at home, and then also pair it up with what will make my life happy at work. Like do I want, like, is it about the accolades, is it about the number of clients that we help, is it about whatever. Like I don't know what it actually is. I really need to kind of go deep and start thinking about that, because
Mm-hmm.
ultimately that will then generate what I feel content with at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, I love it. That's so true. And then the fact that you're going to consult with the people who matter the most with in your life is makes sense too. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, because I think that like if you start thinking your ideal life is here, but then your family, your partner's life perfect life is here, it's not going to match. And then there's probably going to be other problems, whether it be a separation, whether it be like arguments, etc. So like, as long if you can find out what your perfect life is together with the people you want to spend your time with, that's probably how you'll find like the right thing that you want to be working towards.
Yeah, that's a true happy life. I love it. Nice. And if there's one piece of advice you could leave for all realtors out there, what would it be?
Never stop learning. I would
Mm,
say continue to learn, educate yourself. Our world right now is moving fast, right? With AI coming in, everything's changing at like a blink of an eye.
yeah,
And not only just keeping up with what's happening in the world, but just learning about things in the world. Like keep being curious, keep educating yourself, learn about things that make you happy.
yeah, yeah. You went full circle here from like ending with keep learning, starting with being a sponge, with the top producer agent from your family, and then all the knowledge you've gained from reading and journaling and all this stuff. This is very cool. I love it.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And
It's
before we end, oh, sorry, go ahead.
that it's just been a really fun time kind of learning and just enjoying this career that I'm in right now.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Very cool. Before we end today, what is next for you? Like, how are you gonna end this year, 2026, strong?
Yeah, I think like this year, the word of the year that I have is consistency. Really,
Mm,
just making sure that the things that I want to do are consistently completed, and I am like evolving things in that regard, and just don't leave things hanging. So really, what will make this year really successful for me is just if I do consistently follow my action plan for the entire year, because usually around May when the market gets insanely busy, I stop and then I pick it up again in August.
yeah.
So really, if I can be consistent during that May to August timeframe, I will be very happy.
Then you would have, yeah, completely. I get that for sure. Keep it up when it's busy, and then you forget, and then you're not consistent. But then you're trying to catch up. So
Yeah,
nice.
absolutely.
Yeah, this is so great. Thank you for sharing all of this. How do our listener can connect with you?
Yeah, the best way to connect with me is probably on Instagram.
Nice.
It's at Alex Hripko, so AlexHripko. Or you can always send me an email or a phone or give me a call or text. Cell phone 403-888-8662. Looks like a spam number, but it's not, trust me. But yeah, I'm pretty easy to reach. You can even just Google and you
Yeah.
always pop up.
Fantastic. We'll share all your contact info with the episode and everything. But thank you so much for your time today. I know your time is very valuable, but I'm glad we were able to learn from you and share your story.
I appreciate you taking the time to interview me and having me on the podcast. So thank you again.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in the Sold Right Away podcast, where serious realtors come to think bigger, execute smarter, and win more listings. If today's episode helped you, challenged you, sharpened you, or made you rethink how you're running your business, don't just listen and move on. Subscribe, leave a review, share this with another realtor who needs to step it up. And now, I want to know, what is the marketing bottleneck in your business right now? Is it leads, visibility, conversion, consistency? Don't guess your way through it. Book a call with me, 15 minutes at soldrightaway.com, and let's build a plan that actually moves the needle. Until next time, work smarter, move faster, and go win your market.